Hey, it's Soul. This is the World of Warcraft, and I'm still talking. Like I said, this is like lore week in the World of Warcraft, and this time I want to talk total spoilers. This is the total spoiler alert. It hasn't happened in game yet. There is no thing. It's just based on, well, all this audio stuff that's been released just the other day. The convenient data miners over at MMO Champion and Wowhead and whatnot have been able to extract a whole bunch of different and very revealing pieces of audio. Basically, it's kind of the epilogue of the Antor's The Burning Throne raid. So again, spoiler alerts. Let's go. In a nutshell, we beat Sargeras. Yay! He gets trapped up with the Pantheon as well as Illidan. They all get locked up into some dump. But before Sargeras is finally deposed for good, he does something. Apparently it's a drop of blood or his sword, or he basically does something to afflict Azeroth itself. And at the moment, it's unfortunate that I can't get into the PTR at the moment. All we have is a screenshot right here of a big ass crater. Now, it's a little hard to tell exactly where this is, but I mean, part of me thinks that, you know, that mass right there, it kind of looks like a part of Feralus, but I don't know. It's the image that's being distributed from MMO Champion says that it's called Silithus Phase 1. So maybe this thing happened in Silithus, and well, the audio does in fact say, hey, go to Silithus and take a look at this big burning scar in the world. And I'm going to spend a good chunk of this video just kind of taking a dump on Sargeras, because I think he's a big pansy, and here's why. In the Chronicles book, Sargeras is supposed to be like the villain who thinks that he's playing the hero. He's doing the right thing by destroying everything in the universe so that the Void Lords can't corrupt the universe themselves. And that's noble, I guess. Not really, but then it's just his way of doing things. When it comes to Azeroth, Sargeras had two options. One was to try and subjugate it, which he was trying to do. He wanted to enslave it, just like he did with Argus and the Titan that was inside, so that it can work for him and he can continue his Burning Crusade all happy-go-lucky. The other option would be to destroy Azeroth, and otherwise prevent the Void Lords from infecting it, and basically kind of saving the universe in his own way there as well. Now, because of that, in the face of absolute defeat at the hands of Illidan and the other Titans and us, the heroes of Azeroth, Sargeras had one of two choices to make upon his defeat. One was to be like, hey, okay, hold on guys, hold on. I know I'm the bad guy, but this is what I'm actually trying to do. Heroes of Azeroth and whoever the hell you guys are. Okay, you're gonna lock me up, but you know what? Don't let anything bad happen, because the Void Lords are gonna come and they're gonna kill all of you guys, and then I'm gonna laugh at you guys from my prison. Ha ha ha. So Sargeras could have warned them as to, like, this is the real danger. This is what I've been trying to do. This is what I've been trying to stop, okay? So, you know, get with the program. Instead, what he did, in what I think is a pretty pansy-ass bitch act, he was just like, wow, you know, I can't destroy the universe and I can't save the universe my way, then screw it, I'm just gonna wound Azeroth. And all he did was make a crater. I mean, true, Azeroth is wounded. It's kind of like, you know, a precision strike, you know, you strike deep into like the heart of the planet and all that stuff. I mean, there's that, but you'd think that there'd be more damage done from a Titan. I mean, the Cataclysm did all sorts of things, and that was just Deathwing popping his head out and being like, hello, and then all of a sudden tidal waves and earthquakes and, you know, all sorts of craziness. But of course, that's only on like the surface of the planet, so, you know, maybe that, you know, maybe it wasn't that big of a thing. It's just, you know, not as flashy. A big old crater is nice, you know, if it happens to be filled with arcane juice, or, you know, the whole Well of Eternity kind of fluid substance, if that stuff's coming out, okay, cool, Azeroth's hurt, I get it. But I say that's a really pissy way of going about, you know, uttering your quote-unquote last breath, or, you know, your final action before you get imprisoned, hopefully forever. But now we have to think to ourselves, okay, what's going to happen now? What's going to happen next? But what are the next couple of expansions going to entail because of these events here? It appears, at least from all the different, you know, bits of speculation and all the other theories that have come out, we didn't exactly expect something like this necessarily to happen. Personally, I would have hoped that Argus would have just vomited fell onto the planet and caused some sort of, like, you know, corruption or whatever. But then this is more like, boom, critical hit. So I can see an expansion, or I can see a very strong narrative where there's a good chunk of the planet that kind of comes together to try to heal Azeroth somehow, some way. In the meantime, though, there are dark forces about that are trying to take advantage of this. I mean, maybe there are forces that are trying to get into that crater because there might be power in there. You know, it's kind of like the Well of Eternity, almost. And people are trying to jump in on that and capitalize on, you know, whatever arcane cool stuff that's inside. Other forces like the old gods are like, oh, heck yeah, let's do this. Let's feed off of whatever energy Azeroth has. Let's wake ourselves up and let's break shit. The fact that there's a big old gaping hole in Azeroth might lure other spacefaring races over. I mean, there are the Ethereals, and it's not like there aren't ways to get to Azeroth anymore. There's obviously you can make portals, and there are spaceships all around, you know, kind of all around now. So we might get visitors from other races. For the most part, the old gods that are under the ground right now, they're either defeated or they're weak or they're just kind of biding their time. But who's to say that the Void Lords won't be like, okay, well, let's just keep throwing old gods at Azeroth and just see if something sticks. So we might see new old gods. Well, you know what I mean. You might see new agents of the Void Lords appear. They're thinking right now, okay, this is our chance, let's do it. One thing's for sure though is that this wound definitely has the Void Lord's attention by now. And it's probably becoming more and more widespread that Azeroth is in fact the final Titan that we know of. So right now I'm going to do a lot of speculating. I'm going to try to organize my thoughts a little bit, but it's just going to be kind of random thoughts, and well, here we go. Controlling the scar might mean controlling the planet itself. This scar, after all, is a wound to the planet itself. Defending it is going to be incredibly important in order to keep the planet alive and everyone on it. There's no doubt that there are some bad forces that are out there that are trying to get in there to maybe corrupt the planet through this wound, or to, well, widen this wound or something like that. So we can imagine that there are going to be a lot of NPCs and a lot of factions that are going to be congregating around this pretty small area. This wound on Azeroth might be a lot more painful than we think. I mean, obviously we see a big hole in the ground, but what's not to say that this sort of corruption might manifest itself in other areas of the world? This might cause another cataclysm. I know that there's this one big hole in the ground, but there's no telling if this wound is going to cause other ruptures or craters or other wounds to appear throughout the world. This really would be the perfect excuse to kind of redo the world one more time. And here's one theory that I have, that this chain of events might kick off basically the end of this whole old god threat. And here's how it could possibly happen. One is that we're obviously going to see a big focus on trying to heal the planet, or trying to maintain it, or try to just prevent it from getting destroyed at this point. Obviously there are forces that are going to try to, you know, make this worse, or try to just corrupt Azeroth itself, or what have you. But we do know that Azeroth has a mind of its own, and this mind happens to speak through the voice of Maggie Bronzebeard. My guess is that no matter what happens in the world of Warcraft, at some point there's going to be a scenario, there's going to be an event that happens where, you know, Azeroth itself speaks, or speaks through Magni and says, hey, you know what, I know you're trying to help the planet, but I'm getting weak, and the old gods, you know, or the Void Lords, they know where I'm at, they know that I'm becoming weak, and they're going to try to throw everything they can at me. So in order to avoid that sort of corruption, Azeroth has no choice but to not exactly commit suicide, but to just kind of, I don't know, crystallize itself, so that way everyone on the surface remains alive, but Azeroth itself becomes like permanently dormant. Because remember, the whole goal of the Void Lords is to try to corrupt a Titan, and if they can corrupt a Titan, then apparently the universe ends. But if they're not able to corrupt Azeroth anymore, then what's the point? So if Azeroth knows that it's like super hurt and dying and weak and possibly susceptible to old god corruption, it may very well decide to just end its own life. That in effect will put an indefinite hold on the threat of the end of the universe. Thank God. The old gods themselves are still going to be a threat because they're already there, and they're just like, well, we might as well take over the planet and have some fun. But there's no more threat of the end of everything. There isn't any more escalating threat, at least not for now. The Void Lords are still around. They're probably looking for other planets that might possibly have a Titan soul inside, but at least as far as we're concerned, they're all gone. The Titans, that is. And this will take WoW in a new direction, as in not up, but just kind of, you know, sideways. We're just going to be focusing on ourselves. Personally, I would love something like that. Basically, the whole Titan story will be resolved. The whole light versus shadow thing will be resolved. It'll be just left to like regular things like, you know, red versus blue trying to kill each other. So what do you folks think? Do you think that this scar on the planet represents anything substantial? Do you think it's going to lead to a new expansion and an entirely new direction for the World of Warcraft? Or do you think this is a big nothing? Feel free to share your thoughts, and otherwise, stay breezy.